This is Call of Duty World War II. We're here on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. This is the entry of Call of Duty that brought the series back to boots on the ground action, which was honestly really refreshing at the time and certainly something that was needed for the Call of Duty franchise. It was nice to get back to World War II as well, since the series had spent so much time far out in the future or in the modern setting. It was nice to return to something that was a bit more historic and classic to the roots of the Call of Duty franchise. And yeah, this is a pretty solid campaign, some intense fun multiplayer, and some pretty gnarly looking zombies too. We're going to be showing off all the different elements of the experience, talking about the game, and diving into what it has to offer for its cinematic, heart-pounding campaign, and then, you know, the other elements of the experience too, as we dive into those and talk about what they have to offer. So yeah, you get a wide range of different theaters of war in this one, just in terms of different like locations and settings. You're kind of hitting like, I want to say it's like a best of kind of beats, which is kind of nice for World War II. And again, the gnarly recreation of the D-Day scenario, which seems to be a bit of a staple for a lot of World War II games that kind of take this approach for the front of conflict. Always nice to see how each of the different COD games kind of does their interpretation of this particular moment, and it's kind of hilarious because if you go back to like the original Call of Duty games that have like a scene like this, and you compare it to today, like Call of Duty 2 for instance, well, this not even today, I guess this was even however many years ago now, just the change in like graphical technology between them is just crazy, and I'm sure it'll continue to get more and more wild as time goes on, and hopefully as we get, you know, more entries that kind of aim to recreate this moment, which is a pretty horrifying time. Anyways, you're probably wondering what exactly we're getting here. It's dynamic 4K resolution. It should be pretty close to full 4K at this point with the overhead here. And then there is 60 FPS HDR, and yeah, it's a pretty great looking game. What was that? Oh, the transition into like the cinematic. It's quite jarring, but yeah, that was really jarring there. Like, normally I don't feel like this game has such jarring adjustments. Is this what I trained for? I don't know, man. I don't know if I trained for this, dude.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know, right? Alright, let's do this. It's time to answer the call of duty. But anyways, I really like this COD. I think it's really well done. Honestly, I think it nails the setting pretty well, the grimness of it. Good sense of scale too. Like, you can see that there's all these different Marines going on. Hilariously, it's like dead over there, but that's what I was saying, is like I do think as time goes on, it will become more and more, you know, realistic, and the scale of it will grow larger and stuff too. And it is kind of funny because, like, as I was kind of mentioning, going back to like the older games, like I remember like Medal of Honor Bloodlines or whatever, they do D-Day, and I remember it being so like detailed. There's so much going on, and then it's like you compare it to like something that came out a little bit later, and then something that came out now or at this time, and I'm sure the next interpretation of it will, I don't even think you call it interpretation, but the next simulation or attempt at like kind of nailing this will be even more crazier, and should be interesting to see. This entry was also really interesting for the elements of like a bit more of a traditional thing they hadn't done in COD for a while, was the fact that like you had to use like health packs, and you have like your squad elements. So some of your squad, I actually can't believe it's this far into the game, we haven't even shot anyone yet. Yeah, so your squad actually does stuff, like it'd be like, oh, I need health, I need ammo, and it's like your squad will give you things and stuff. Gotta get some supplies, guys. And it's just like, it's a lot more kind of aggressive and intense of a game. Why is there a PPSH here? That's weird. It's a very odd gun to come across in regards to this kind of shooter, because like, I don't think the Russians would have attacked here, right? Like, why is there PPSH here?
Here we go.
Like the Germans would be using it. Very odd. What a horrifying battle situation, though, right? Could you imagine being on this beach trying to, like, run across here? I mean, you don't have to imagine it. You can, like, see it in the video game, but it, like, almost makes it feel a little... I don't know, like, it shows how messed up it is, but it's not real, right? But it is, like, a real thing that happened, and... yeah. Just from a historical standpoint, it's quite interesting. See the squad abilities there. That was a bad idea. I can't remember. We're supposed to have something that actually goes up there. One slightly annoying element about this one, though, is the fact that it does have like really long kind of like cinematic bits between gameplay portions. Like the campaign levels is like I guess they were going for a much more cinematic element, which actually Sledgehammer seems to do. But yeah, it definitely takes a little bit to get in between sections.
Ain't nothing left.
Now all of a sudden we can go in here? I got decimated trying to do this 2 seconds ago, but all of a sudden it's totally okay. Yeah, alright. What is that guy doing over there? Grimy, detailed. Like, this really still looks fantastic, this game. Like, it cleans up really nicely. It feels so historic, too, because, like, I don't know how long some of the people watching this have been playing shooter games, but there was a time when, like, all shooter games were World War II.
You hurt? Thanks. I'm good.
That was, like, that was it. Like, that's all you had. And then Call of Duty 4 came out, and it, like, all shifted, but... it was a huge thing at the time. That was a bad grenade. Well, that was close. He's still alive? Man, that guy's tough. Incredible opening for this experience, though, where you go through these different places and stuff, and, like, just the combat of it feels so quick and so visceral and so, like, cinematic and theatrical in its presentation. They did a really good job with this game, genuinely. I think it's still an absolutely fantastic Call of Duty game. And it was so needed. I really don't know how to really get that across in terms of, like, how refreshing it was to have something that was, like, old school like this at the time. Because I had so many people that actually hadn't touched a Call of Duty game for many, many, many years. And they were... oh, I'm so sorry, Flame Guy. And they were embracing... and oh, I think I really team killed him. My bad. They were, like, embracing and trying the franchise again. And we were all having a lot of fun, which was great. Which is something that, as I said, it's like it was really needed. Because we hadn't had something like this in so long for the series. I don't know how easy that is to convey in the sense that, like, it was years of futuristic shooters, and a lot of people I know just weren't that into it. Even myself, I would say this was a big point of me getting back really into the Call of Duty series. I also think this was like the first one I got to review as well, so that was a big moment for me. And yeah, it was a big change up to really kickstart my reintroduction and interest into the Call of Duty franchise, which I think was certainly needed for me as well. And then of course we just play and stream a lot of that these days. And there's quite a few streams of this on the channel if you've ever seen them. We do this one actually fairly often because I quite enjoy this game. You're welcome, teammate. Always out here answering the Call of Duty, what can I say? Ba ba ba. I love the theme thing too. It's so good. This whole game just really quite excellent, honestly. Bunker cleared, let's do the next one. And we're going to prepare ourselves here to switch over to the multi and then the zombies as well. This is the multiplayer portion for the World War II Call of Duty experience, and one that I have a lot of fun playing. I actually really like the style of this game's multiplayer. So the war mode to me was the most exciting aspect of it, because this was an introduction of a classic mode, but in a new, particularly exciting way. So if you hadn't played some of the older ones, like say World at War, that Call of Duty was really interesting because it had war, which was a tug of war where you fight back and forth over positions. This mode's take on war mode was the selection of maps, and it was a little limited, which I think was an issue. But you had these larger Call of Duty maps, which were more, I guess, I don't want to say it, but like Overwatch type inspired, where you're kind of doing certain objectives and goals along the way. It was something I actually thought would get continued with, with the one that followed after the successor, which was Vanguard, but they didn't redo it, and I thought that was a bit of a disappointment. Because, yeah, I thought this mode was actually quite a lot of fun. Larger scale combat, really back and forth action. It worked really well, honestly, and it was really neat. They changed some ways of how you play and compete in this COD with this mode, like, you know, as far as kill streaks and stuff go. And that's what made this really exciting, was just this, like, back and forth sort of push to do, like, either attacking or defending, and you got these big, kind of cool scenes. Sometimes you're moving a tank along, sometimes you're doing all kinds of different, like, activities, gathering gas or battling for tanks. Very, very effective and well done setup here. And yeah, my hope was sort of like Vanguard with the larger scale modes, because obviously COD introduced like large scale, like, I'm trying to think of the name of it. Well, they always had larger modes, but they kind of really changed it up with Modern Warfare. And they had the ground war, the larger scale ground war, where it was like 64 players. And I was kind of hoping that that concept was going to be introduced into this type of game. I was like, oh, that would make a lot of sense to do this sort of mode, but with like massive player counts pushing along. And they did it for Modern Warfare 3.2. They kind of brought it back, but I don't think it was quite. It was always very limited in that game, and it wasn't quite the same as it was in this. But the idea was there. I was just hoping it would be for Vanguard, because I was like, oh, that would be so neat for World War II setups. But yeah, I actually did enjoy it more for 3.2, but it was just limiting by the fact that there just wasn't enough maps. Yeah, and the maps were kind of weird too, what your goals were in them. But anyways, we're talking about, you know, World War II, not that one, right? So yeah, cool objectives, cool battles, really nice. It also has all your traditional kind of stuff. I think a pretty decent selection of maps in this game too. You know, your domination. They've got shipment 24/7 still, where you kind of fight in like a little boxed in, you know, it's on the beach or whatever. And this game also was interesting because they were still, like, they were working with Destiny. Like, Destiny was being published by Activision as part of their, like, 10-year agreement until Bungie bought themselves out or whatever, and whatever happened. And that was interesting because the headquarters in this, with Jeremy and her first in-game performance or whatever, I guess, where she's the cute quartermaster. I have an interview with her for Cyberpunk Roll on the channel if you haven't seen that. But basically, there was the idea there that they had this headquarters that was like a social space. And it's the only COD that's done that, from what I can still remember. Kind of like the Tower in Destiny, they sort of did that thing where you have this headquarters on the beach, and that's where the shipment map takes place. And yeah, I was, it was kind of dumb and silly. Like, you had people just like messing around, and there was like the loot crates and everything like that. It was kind of funny looking, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I also don't know how I feel about my teammates not pushing forward. Like, we're not, you know, getting in there. It's like I feel like I'm the only one that's like putting bodies against the effort here in this. And I've also got this crap tag like grease gun. I usually like use like the MP40, I think it is, or no, the PPSH is what I usually rock in this. I don't have it unlocked, which kind of sucks because, you know, it's like PlayStation. They didn't have the cross-play and the cross-progression and everything like they do now, so it's a lot harder to do multiplayer switching between platforms. Which was probably a good thing for, you know, the publishers back in the day, like the console owners, because it'd be like really hard for you to switch over between platforms. Yeah, nowadays it's like super seamless almost, which is kind of funny, but also makes sense. Anyways, yeah, so traditional modes, and then you also had the headquarters social hub. They also had the really fun, I quite like this one mode where you were doing zombies, but it was called Horde Point, and they brought it back also from Modern Warfare 3 2 and some other stuff, where basically you are doing Hard Point, but there's zombies like chasing you and attacking you and stuff, and I thought that was really cool. So just like a wealth of different game modes to play, a lot of different experiences to have for the multiplayer. I thought it was pretty competitive, also felt pretty classic in terms of Call of Duty action, and just to me a pretty fun and worthwhile Call of Duty multiplayer experience to check out. If you somehow missed it over the years, it's definitely something that's worth visiting, and still has decent players and stuff supporting checking this one out, as most Call of Duty games always do, right? It just makes sense. And now another portion of the multiplayer was, of course, the zombies. So this is the zombies portion of the game. Now, I actually really like the zombies too. It's round-based. It feels more traditional again. It's incredibly dark, grimy, and it's also something that you can play from the element of doing story-type stuff, or just actually enjoying endless waves of zombies, which is what I like to do. I enjoy just the regular, traditional zombie survival, and yeah, it feels like a lot of the games kind of moved away from that, which was a bit of a shame, because that endless wave-based survival was always great. But I really liked the design of the maps, the locations, the setup of things. It's really, really quite well developed, a good sense of scale, so you can move around, but also, you know, zombies that were like really kind of gnarly looking, messed up, and lots of different threats and things. I think there was like weird boss type things I didn't really love, but yeah, I liked the design of this. There's custom class integration in that, and then, you know, your traditional buying guns on the wall, getting like upgrades and perks and things. Yeah, there was a lot to interact with in the zombies. I think they did an effective job of creating a unique mode that felt like it paired up in this game and then connected to the other ones pretty well too. There we go. Need to find more gas valves. Need to find some guns to buy. But mostly I quite enjoy this. You can, you know, play alone, or you can play cooperatively with others, which is always fun for me. The real tension grab of zombies is the fact that you can play it with other people. That I always loved the most about zombies, was the fact that you could actually, like, you know, play with others. That was always fun. Cooperatively taking on hordes of the undead, trying to survive and see how long you can last. And I think this one just kind of really, to me, sort of hit the mark quite well. And I think you can quite enjoy this one. I really do believe this is a great zombies mode. It's grimy, gritty, detailed. So there's obviously the different like DLC maps and stuff too, and yeah, there was a lot to enjoy about this one. Definitely Call of Duty from different times do different things, right? And the cast of characters too in this one was kind of neat. The setting of it, the calmness of this map in particular, like the snow and the fact you're like in the city place. And yeah, it's quite a level, honestly. And I think overall, Call of Duty World War II is a very nice looking game. It's got a good amount of modes, content, action, and excitement to it. I think it will surprise those that have never played it before. If you are looking into that, if you're revisiting it, the game looks great here on the Pro, runs great, smooth. It's a nice, yeah, don't really have complaints about this overall package. It's aging very gracefully, as it was one of those games that did get a little bit of a, you know, mid-gen treatment at the time, which I think really helps with the longevity of it. But yeah, there's a lot to like about zombies, there's a lot to enjoy about it, and hopefully this dive into zombies and the overall game of Call of Duty World War II showcase the game effectively well, let you see what it has to offer for you if you're playing it.